My fellow Everywhereicans, hello and welcome to the third State of the Trip address. This is the speech I like to give at the end of each chapter to kind of sum up where we've been and look ahead a little bit to what comes next. You may have noticed that I've decided to forego what I normally wear, a suit and tie, when I give these speeches, for something a little bit different. So this is a very special tire for me. This tire has been with me for over 31,000 miles on my trip. It's a Shinko 705 that I bought for about $75. It was shipped to my friend Mitch's house in Brooklyn and was with me for the end of Chapter 2 and the entirety of Chapter 3. So 31,000 miles on a motorcycle is pretty amazing. I think it's probably the only motorcycle tire in existence to do both the Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee and North Carolina, all the way down to Ruta 40 down in Argentina. I doubt there's another one. So because it carried me so long, I figured it was only fitting that maybe I would carry it a little bit as I talk about Chapter 3. So it's like we often say in Nebraska, sometimes the best attire is attire. Yeah, nobody here says that. I'm sorry. You were warned that the jokes weren't going to get better. That's just proof of that. So moving on. So I'm going to stay pretty brief in here. Normally I give kind of a synopsis in text below, but I'm just going to post a few numbers and probably a couple maps down there. So mostly this will just be a video update. So Chapter 3, I guess we also call it the Latin America chapter, consisted of us going through 15 different countries as we continued on our journey. If I were to sum it up with just one thing that stuck out to me, it's similar to the first two chapters, and that is the generosity of people. So many people have been involved with this journey, whether it's giving me a place to stay or just leaving me an encouraging word. There are just so many people now that are connected to this, and I just really can't believe the generosity that has been shown to me. So thank you for all of you that have been a part of that. So to make sense of Chapter 3, I thought it might be best to look at some of the hard numbers in comparing this chapter to our first two. So Chapters 1 and 2, we were just in North America, US and Canada. So I'll call that the North America part and the Latin America part, or Chapters 1 and 2 versus Chapter 3. So Chapters 1 and 2, we spent 146 days, about 5 months. Whereas Chapter 3 was 300 days, about 10 months. So Chapter 3 took about twice as long as what came before it. In terms of song places, we hit 53 places in the North American part and just 11 in the Latin America part. So even though it was twice as long in terms of time, there was just a fraction of the places, which go to show just how much more spread out they were in that part of the world. In terms of total miles, it's really even, about 27,000 in Chapters 1 and 2, 26,000 in Chapter 3. So it shows we were going about half as fast during the Latin American portion, which a lot of different reasons for that. One of them was me just wanting to take my time a little bit more, but also because too it's just slower going down there for a lot of different reasons. The total money spent, so Chapters 1 and 2, we spent just $3,586. Very, very little. Whereas Chapter 3, we were up over $13,000. I'm only doing one take. I'm not going to edit that out. Sorry. You'll have to live with it. So this doesn't come up too bad if you look at it in terms of dollars per day. So the North America, we were at $25 per day, whereas we were at $43 per day in the Latin American chapter. I'm really happy with that number, $43 per day, considering we had some big expenses of thousands of dollars, but we were still able to keep it low enough that that number stayed relatively low. I always knew I was going to be spending the majority of my budget down in Latin America, and obviously that just confirms that fact. In terms of lodging, we only spent $139 in North America, and we were over $2,000 in Latin America. So again, you can't just throw up a tent anywhere for safety's sake. And the biggest difference, though, is in the category miscellaneous travel. So this is everything from tolls, shipping expenses, flights for myself, the fees you pay to cross a border, the insurance you need in these different countries. And there's a huge difference here. So in North America, I only spent $121. In Latin America, $4,581. So a good chunk of my total budget just on jumping through all the hoops. This doesn't include gas or anything like that. It's just the miscellaneous travel expenses. So it costs quite a bit to travel through Latin America, but definitely worth it. I'll post all the totals of each category down below. I'm not going to read each one of them. But the trip total at this very moment sits at $16,947. Initially, I wanted to keep the whole thing under $15,000. Obviously, I'm going over budget on that, mostly just because it's taken me a lot longer than I thought. My per day numbers are still coming in pretty low. So I think this is the first time I've ever been in charge of overseeing something that actually went over budget. That's not a very normal thing for me. So, but it's not cramping my style too much. I'm still not going to be too tight on this last chapter, and it's not going to hurt me financially to finish it all up. Let's move on and talk a little bit about Annie. It's kind of strange, but I never thought I could be as proud as I am of an inanimate object as I am proud of Annie right now. The way she continues to perform with hardly any mechanical issues to speak of, I think, is really amazing. So she sits at a little over 75,000 miles now. I don't think we'll get to 100,000 on the rest of the trip, but I think someday that'll be in her future. So still just really glad that she made it all the way through Chapter 3 and that she's going to get to be part of Chapter 4 as well. In Chapter 3, we averaged 63 miles per gallon, which was quite a bit better than about the 59 we averaged in North America. I think part of that is due to the better fuel down in Latin America, less ethanol blends and things like that. But also, I'm a good physicist, so I need to acknowledge that wind resistance goes up exponentially with velocity, the square velocity, I believe. So even a little bit of difference, say between 60 miles an hour average and 80 miles an hour average, can make a big difference in how much your vehicle is having to cut through the air. And the average speeds down in Latin America are much lower than they are in North America. So it's a mixture of those two things, but still, being over 61 miles per gallon for the whole trip, that's obviously something that's helped me save a lot of money too. So really happy about that. So yay, Annie, the hero, of course. Next up, Sonic. So I'll maybe post some pictures in the next one, but by the end of Chapter 3, Sonic was looking pretty rough. I got him all reprinted now. He looks really good, probably the best he has of the whole trip. I used this kind of sticker paper which can take more ink, so I turned it way up on the printer and I got him really, really well coated, so hopefully this is the last time I have to reprint Sonic for a while. I'm still using those same old bearings from an old roller skate wheel that I punched out a couple years ago. That's still keeping him spinning, so he looks poised to finish this trip as well. Can I lose the tire? It's kind of getting heavy. Have I made my point yet? I'm pretty good at committing to jokes, but I think that one's run its course. Good job, tire. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the person who does the writing and the writing, yours truly. Obviously, a lot has happened during Chapter 3, and a lot has happened right after that, too. A very, very eventful time in my life. But I guess I'd say I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. Obviously, the most significant thing to happen was the passing of my father, which is still something I'm dealing with and something that I will continue to deal with. But one of the good things, I guess, as I'm trying to look for the positive about his passing, is that it's kind of given me cause to look with more of a microscope at his life, his attitude, the way he lived life, and to almost kind of recommit myself to following that example that he set. So, I feel like I'm more committed than ever to be joyful through the remainder of this journey, and I know he'll be with me as I go through the rest of this. This time that I've spent off the bike has been good. It was nice to spend so much time with family. It was nice to start working a job again and kind of get back into a schedule. I never thought I'd really miss that, but that felt really good too. So all told, I guess despite the massive loss, I think that I'm a more complete person now than I was when chapter 3 ended. And I guess that's what life's about, just keeping improving and keep trying to get better every day. And I know that's what Dad would have wanted for me, and I think he's proud of the way I'm handling things. And just that thought makes me feel pretty good. So finally, let's talk a little bit about what comes next. Chapter 4, the last chapter of our journey. I will post a map of what I have left down below, pretty much southern and western U.S. The way I've calculated it out, I think I have about 10,000 miles or so, which, at one point that might have seemed daunting, but now it seems like a walk in the park. We've been through so much. We're over, I think, 52,000 on the trip, so 10,000 more, not a big deal. Still 28 places in the song left to go, so a lot more song places to hit, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with those places and seeing what people I'll meet and what interesting things I'll learn about each of the 28. I know I can't even imagine what will be coming next. I think I could get it done in about 3 months or so is kind of what I'm aiming at, but honestly, if it takes me 6, that's not going to bother me at all. I really, one of my big goals is to just take it easy on this last chapter. I think there's always been something pushing me a little bit on this journey, so now I'm just really committed to taking my time and smelling each proverbial rose as I go along. I don't know if I'll ever have the opportunity to do something like this again in my life, to be so free and to get to go out and go where the wind takes me, so to speak. I'm really lucky to get to do something like this, and I want to travel with that kind of appreciation and let that really mold what this chapter 4 is to become. The other great thing about this chapter is that it's going to begin with a passenger with me. Not just Sonic, an actual human this time. So my mom is planning to ride along with me through the first little part of chapter 4. I think we'll do Iowa together for sure. Maybe she'll come along to some parts of Missouri, maybe Kansas. We'll see about that. But I think it will be great for us. We've already made so many great memories together on this trip, and I know that a lot more will be made through this. And also, as we're still both coming to terms with the loss of Dad, I think the more time we can spend together and the more we can support each other is the best thing we can both do for each other. So I'm really excited to have her along, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun in a lot of different ways. So I think I'll go ahead and end it there. But again, just want to say thank you to everybody who's been following along on this trip. I can't tell you how much it means to me. It's such a silly little goal that we've put up for ourselves and so unnecessary to do, but I do believe a lot of good things have come and will come from it, even if it's just internal things. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and I guess God bless you, God bless America, and God bless Mbabaka. We'll see you on the road, guys.